of people with disability. He's the president of the Ghana Impact Project, which is a philanthropic group based in the United States. Let's welcome to the show Kobby Okum. Kobby, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
It's good to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
What's the inspiration behind the Ghana Impact Project?
Wow. So, I actually sat down and thought about how this whole thing came about. And 2021 is when we launched Ghana Impact Project. Mm-hmm. But the seeds that were planted, that germinated in 2021, really started in 1995. Mm-hmm. My family migrated from Ghana to the U.S. And one of the things that stood out to me when I got there, it was a culture shock, first of all, living there. But one of the things that stood out to me was when I went to school for the first time in the U.S. and seeing kids that were physically challenged in class with me. Mm-hmm. These kids were whisking through the hallways in their electric wheelchairs, and I had never seen that before. I was blown away from that. So I remember going home and asking my parents, well, how come the U.S. has so many physically challenged kids? Mm-hmm. I actually thought it was a phenomenon mm-hmm. here. And that's when they educated me that we actually have the same challenge in Ghana. Mm-hmm. But sadly, our society is not prepared to integrate those folks in the schools. So right. We didn't have elevators, we didn't have ramps. And sadly, there were some communities that, thought it was a curse from God, or they thought it was contagious, and hence those folks couldn't go to school. So at that age, I knew it was wrong, and I knew something needed to change, but I was only 11, right? So fast forward to 2021, when the pandemic hit, and many of us had the opportunity to work from home, I really started to reflect about what's truly important, right? And that's really sort of when those thoughts from age 11 came back, and Ghana Impact Project really was born.
So, who are the founders?
Yes, good question. So myself, mm-hmm. and actually a classmate of mine who I went to Rid Church with in class 5, we reconnected, 30 years later. Whoa. And I remember we were having dinner, and I was telling him about, my idea about, helping the physically challenged in Ghana. And he was on board. So myself, him, another gentleman named Clancy. Okay. And all of a sudden, we have 7 volunteer board members that are really doing a good job. Okay. And what's the Rid Church guy's name? His name is Leslie Mills. Leslie Mills. Yes. Okay. Yes. Awesome. And so, what's the aim? What's the big idea? Thank you. So our goal, it's a few facets, right? So the first is on the mobility side, right? So making sure we can provide things like wheelchairs, mm-hmm. prosthetics, and crutches for the physically challenged in Ghana, mm-hmm. and that's what we're actually doing. A few days ago, we actually donated about $10,000 to the physically challenged in Nsawam, which was an amazing event, and just amazing stories from that. But beyond that, we want some help from the government in the sense of awareness, right? So when you go to the States, for instance, every building has to be ADA compliant, they call it, right? So what is ADA? So I don't know what the acronym stands for. Something with disability. Essence, yes, but in essence, what that means is that your building has to have a ramp, an elevator, something that if somebody is physically challenged, they can use, mm-hmm. right? I have a friend that was buying a building for his business, and literally there's a group that comes and checks out to make sure that you're compliant. Mm-hmm. The switches for the lights have to be at a certain height so somebody who's physically challenged can use it. When you're going to park your car, there are designated parking spots for physically challenged. And if you park there and you're not physically challenged? Oh yeah, you're in trouble. The police, there's big fines. Wow. It's a no-no, right? So we want to make sure that we raise that awareness of the physically challenged so that they become a group that's thought of in Ghana. Mm-hmm. But lastly, I would say a message that there are people out there that really love you and care about you. And I feel like my work is really to connect you with those people, mm-hmm. right? So we have these donors that are being so benevolent because they never heard about these stories or didn't know that folks are in these conditions, mm-hmm. right? So our job is really to be a vessel for those individuals. Any particular donors you want to shout out who have been with you from the beginning? Wow. So yes. So there's an organization in the U.S. called Menasha Corporation. That's a business that gave a lot of money. A company that I actually work for in the States is called Edward Jones, mm-hmm. Especially Region 109, where 70% of our donations came from there. Wow. Right? So there are a bunch of organizations and individual donors that are just being extremely generous. So we're very grateful about it. Good on all of them. Absolutely. What are the challenges that you have with running a project like this? So, good question. So, I think number one is getting the buy-in from the ground, mm-hmm. right? So we're not having such a challenge in the States because folks over there really understand the importance of helping the physically challenged. Mm-hmm. It's really more so boots on the ground here in Ghana and just getting, because, times are hard, right? So when times are hard, a lot of folks, become more, for lack of a better word, insular, right?
Yeah.
They worry about
cut back.
Yeah, they cut back. They worry about how am I going to eat and fuel and all that good stuff, right? So somebody else's problem, for lack of a better word, is their problem, right? So really getting that buy-in from folk, boots on the ground has been a little bit of a challenge.
Okay.
Yeah.
How can people reach out and support?
Absolutely. So certainly they can go on our website, which is www.ghanaimpactproject.org. Okay. And they can also email us at ghanaimpactproject@gmail.com. Okay. And we're really advocating for anybody who's physically challenged that needs resources like wheelchairs, prosthetics, and crutches, and don't know what to do. Please, please, please connect with us. Email us. We'll find some support for you.
GhanaImpactProject.org.
.org. Yes.
Or GhanaImpactProject@gmail.com. Awesome.
That's correct.
All right. Okay. So, anything else you want to say?
Yeah, I mean, certainly we're always, raising awareness. We're always raising money for the physically challenged, right? So for anybody who's charitably inclined, they certainly can go to our website and donate at GhanaImpactProject.org.
Okay. Are you guys on social media as well?
We are. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter, but we're not very active there. But we're there.
Okay. All right. And we got some pictures there that we want to see on the screen. So what's going on here?
So this is actually from Sunday. So when we did our $10,000 donation, we had a nice celebration and party, right? So these are photos, from the children celebrating with us for that donation.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. So they put on a play. They put on a dance competition to really show that. And this kid right there, his name is Kobby. Also, the kid that had the balloons.
Yes.
Benefactor of the donation, right?
Wow.
So he got some brand new prosthetics, which was
benefactor number one.
And he's my namesake, right?
One time, so all the stars aligned nicely.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it was such a joyous occasion.
And how did he feel? I mean, just describe some of the emotions of the kids.
Yeah. So the kids were extremely happy to see us, right? Because when you hear some of their stories, it's extremely heartbreaking, right? Some of them, their parents left them outside in the middle of the rain because they didn't know what to do with them. We partner with an organization in Sawam called OTC, Orthopedic Training Center, which has been around since the 60s, and they house physically challenged kids and make prosthetics on site, right? So sometimes people that have physically challenged kids and don't know what to do, they might just drop them off there and then leave, right? So imagine the emotional toll it takes on a child to feel abandoned and then being physically challenged and also feeling that the society doesn't care about you, right? So in the beginning, I thought it's really about us providing equipment, but more and more it's also about showing them that there's love out there and people actually care about them, right? So
we love the work you're doing.
I appreciate that.
More power to you.
I appreciate that.
All right, GhanaImpactProject.org. People, we're always 100% behind worthy causes. Yes. Okay, so please reach out to them and see how you can support them so that we can make the lives of people living with disability more accessible for them, where they can go wherever they want. They can have freedom to achieve whatever they want to achieve, just like you or me and anybody else. Kobby, thank you so much.
Such a pleasure.
It's a real pleasure. Thank you very much. The president of the Ghana Impact Project, Kobby Okum, and it's all about reaching out and helping the people living with disability. I really, really thank you once again. And we're going to push traffic to your website big time.
And one last comment. I hope this is not a one-time conversation. I truly want folks in Ghana to really, really make this an ongoing conversation so that we can make that true difference. So
sustainability is the way to go. Thanks so much.
Thank you, my friend.
All righty. This is GTV Breakfast. I still want to give you free pizza. Okay, so answer the question for me. Okay, answer the question for me. How many times has Qatar qualified for the World Cup? All right, and go to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Put your answer there. 9 o'clock the poll closes, and I'll announce as the Gene Mensa of the Cheesy Pizza promotion. I will announce who wins. All right, no pink sheet business. Okay, we've got headlines with Oscar and Nuong and Kaf right after this.